Following a strategy I teach called the takedown method, I bought a property that I'm reselling on the MLS. So I'm the seller and I priced it for a retail buyer, not a wholesaler, but I keep getting offers from douchey wholesalers, which is so frustrating. So in this video, I'm going to explain what it means to be a douchey wholesaler and how to actually be a legit wholesaler. Here's a text I just got out of the blue. I would like to make an offer for $140,000 on 123 Main Street. Not a name, not a phone call, just a random text for a full price cash offer. Now, instantly, I suspected this was a douchey wholesaler because one, a retail buyer or agent wouldn't blindly text a full price offer on a listed property. And two, $140,000, like I said, is a retail price and way too high for a legit wholesaler. Only a douchey wholesaler would blindly text an overpriced offer, but here's how I confirmed it was a douchey wholesaler. I texted back, "Have you seen it?" Now, to me, this is not a hard question. You either have gone to see the property or you haven't gone to see the property. By the way, I make a lot of sight unseen offers. That's not the issue, but not overpriced sight unseen offers. So here was his response to my question if he's seen it or not. Yes, through pictures. Now I know it's a douchey wholesaler because only a douchey wholesaler would answer like that. Oh yeah, you've seen it vicariously through the pictures. That makes me feel better. Look, if someone asks you if you've seen the property and you haven't, the non-douchey answer is, no, I haven't physically seen the property. I'm solely basing my offer off of the pictures in the listing. A legit wholesaler would then add, is there something else going on with the property not reflected in the pictures that I would need to be made aware of? That non-douchey response I can respect. So next I asked what his terms were to his way overpriced blind cash offer, and he said 10-day inspection and earnest money would be due on or before the end of inspection. So in other words, he wants to overcontract the deal with no commitment whatsoever using a 10-day weasel clause, because that's what it is, so that he could blast it out to his shitty cash buyers list and hope and pray he can find some schmuck to overpay, knowing full well that there's a 1 in a million chance anyone will pay that much. I call that type of wholesaler a mudslinger. A mudslinger is a douchey wholesaler who intentionally overcontracts 100 properties and closes maybe 1 or 2. So on my deal, here's how a douchey mudslinger wholesaler hopes it plays out. He's hoping I'm naive and desperate and will agree to his overcontracted full price offer of $140,000 with earnest money not due until after 10 days during the inspection contingency. Then during the 10 days, he blasts my deal out to his buyers for, let's say, $150,000. In his marketing, he says it's worth way more than it's actually worth and that the repairs are way lower than they actually are. In other words, he completely fudges all the numbers. Of course, no one bites because 150 is not even close to a good deal. In fact, his best cash offer is, let's say, 105,000. So now that he's strung me along on the 9th day, right before his inspection time is up and his earnest money is due, he calls me and says, I'm exercising my due diligence and I cannot pay 140, but if you'll do a price reduction, I can pay 95,000. Now at this point, he's hoping that I'm so desperate that I'll take the price reduction and move forward. And if a douchey mudslinger wholesaler does this overpriced sight unseen renegotiating tactic 100 times to get 1 or 2 deals, to him, it was worth it. Now I've seen douchey wholesalers have a contingency all the way up until closing. And then on the day of closing, while the seller is packed and the U-Haul is in the driveway, the douchey wholesaler intentionally takes advantage of the seller and hits them up for a price reduction. Now, let me be clear about what makes any of this douchey and what makes it reasonable, fair, or legit. There's nothing inherently wrong with making a sight unseen offer. There's nothing inherently wrong with having an inspection contingency. There's nothing inherently wrong with paying earnest money after inspection. And there's nothing inherently wrong with renegotiating the price or even canceling a contract. None of those things in and of themselves are wrong. In fact, I've done all of those things. It's wrong when the intent from the onset is to overcontract and then renegotiate. When the business model is to purposely overcontract, hoping to take advantage of the seller and renegotiate a lower price later. That's what makes it douchey and unethical. So here's how this would look for a legit wholesaler. A wholesaler looks at my deal on the MLS and does an honest evaluation using sound wholesaling business practices to determine the ARV, repairs, and the wholesale buy price. Now, if you don't know how to follow the wholesaling buy formula, go back through my channel. I have hundreds of videos showing how to comp properties, estimate repairs, run formulas, and determine good offer prices. I'll put a few videos to help you in the description below to point you in the right direction. So let's say on my deal that's listed for $140,000, a legit wholesaler comps it correctly and determines a reasonable rehab number based on the pictures provided, and factoring in a $10,000 wholesale fee. Let's say he comes up with a solid wholesale buy price of $95,000. Then rather than making me a blind text offer, which is lazy and douchey, he calls me. He tells me his name. He builds rapport. He asks me questions about the property to make sure he understands what's going on. He focuses on building a relationship with me. Then he makes a sight unseen offer for $95,000. When I ask him if he's seen the property, he says, no, I haven't. But based on the pictures, I'm factoring a, let's say, $45,000 rehab. Does that sound reasonable to you? He finds out why I'm asking if he's seen it. He might say to me, why are you asking if I've seen it? Is there something going on with the property that's not apparent in the pictures that I should know about? See, the difference here is a legit wholesaler is trying to contract from the get-go at a good wholesale price. To him, creating a connection with me and building a relationship is more important than the deal. A legit wholesaler plays the long game and knows that renegotiating a contract is the very last option. A douchey wholesaler's first option is to renegotiate. See the difference? Now, let's say the legit wholesaler's offer for $95,000 is with a 10-day inspection, and let's just say his earnest money is $1,000 and that earnest money is due at the end of the 10-day inspection. Now, most people are not going to agree to that, but let's say that I agree to that. A legit wholesaler would be 100% transparent about due diligence. He would say to me, Jerry, during my due diligence, I'm going to deep dive the numbers. I'm going to really make sure I feel good about the back end value. I'm going to go to the property and I'm going to bring my contractors and my investors and my partners, and I'm going to really make sure that the rehab number is accurate. He would say to me, if during my due diligence, I discover anything that I'm not aware of right now that would change my ability to move forward at the current price, I will let you know ASAP. For a legit wholesaler, an inspection contingency is actually used to perform due diligence. For a douchey wholesaler, an inspection contingency is used as a weasel clause or an escape clause. Now, if I asked him if he was a wholesaler or if his intent was to wholesale my property, a legit wholesaler would say, do you mean do we sometimes assign the contract? Yes, we do that all the time. We work with a group of investors and partners in the area, and sometimes we pass deals off to them. But I can reassure you, Jerry, that whatever we agree on, once I finish due diligence, I will come through and perform on the contract. In other words, the legit wholesaler would be open and honest and transparent and would assure me he's credible and he would stand behind what he says he'll do. Once the legit wholesaler is under contract, he would actually do proper due diligence, and he would do it before sending the deal to any cash buyers, because he knows that if he sends out crappy deals and he does that too many times, he'll become known in the market as a douchey wholesaler, and he'll lose credibility with buyers and they'll stop looking at his deals. A legit wholesaler is very concerned about his reputation, and he would do a site visit. He would drive by the comps and verify the repair numbers. He would do everything in his power to make sure he has a good deal before he tries to dispo it. Now, if the deal still pencils, then he would send it to his buyers for, let's say, $105,000. He would provide accurate comps and a reasonable rehab number. He would be able to talk intelligently to buyers about the deal, and his dispo price of $105,000 would have a very high probability that a cash buyer would want it. His buyers would look at the deal and consider it because they trust that he's honest about the numbers, because that's the reputation he's established. Now, let's say the legit wholesaler makes an honest mistake and he's off on something. Let's say he didn't consider the school district, or he missed something important like it needs a new roof or whatever. And let's say his feedback from cash buyers is that the back end value is lower or the cost of repairs is higher and the dispo price of $105,000 doesn't work. A legit wholesaler would find out what the right number is and gather all the reasons and information to make a really good cause for a price reduction. Let's say the highest paying cash buyer would pay $95,000 cash, which clearly doesn't work because that's the contract price. A legit wholesaler would go back to the agent, or in this case, me, and say, Jerry, during my due diligence, it came to my attention that the value is not what I thought it was, and here's why. Or the repairs are not what I originally thought they were, and here's why. Then the legit wholesaler would provide valuable data to support his position, maybe quotes from a contractor, and then he would say, I would like to still move forward, but I need a price reduction from $95,000 to $85,000. And at that point, a legit wholesaler would be willing to commit to the deal. He would waive any contingencies and he would put down non-refundable earnest money. Why? Because now he's certain about the deal and he has a buyer for $95,000. You see, in both scenarios, there was a sight unseen offer. There was an inspection contingency. There was earnest money after due diligence, and there was a renegotiation. One version is professional and transparent. The other is unethical and douchey. So let's review. A douchey wholesaler intentionally overcontracts with the intent to renegotiate. A legit wholesaler does his very best to contract at the right price the first time, and renegotiating is a rare exception. A douchey wholesaler only thinks about making money right now and will jeopardize his integrity if he can get a deal done. A legit wholesaler puts the relationship first. He plays the long game and understands that it's not about the deal. It's about the relationship, and doing the right thing is the first priority. A douchey wholesaler is at best misleading and at worst downright dishonest. A legit wholesaler is open and transparent and lets all parties know his intentions. A douchey wholesaler uses contingencies as escape clauses, whereas a legit wholesaler uses contingencies to actually perform due diligence. The thing is, both a douchey wholesaler and a legit wholesaler, they both make money. But the douchey wholesaler is up all night wondering if something is going to come back on him, and the legit wholesaler sleeps peacefully at night knowing he's providing value to sellers and buyers and the marketplace. One of the reasons why the wholesaling industry is being overregulated is because the douchey wholesalers are getting too much attention. They get the spotlight, not the legit wholesalers, which is really sad. So please, for the love of God, don't be the douchey wholesaler. Be a problem solver. Remember the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So next, I want you to listen to a call I did where an agent made a full price cash offer on one of my deals. Now on this call, you'll see how I uncover if the buyer is a legit investor or a douchey wholesaler. Watch that video now, and I'll see you on the next video.